Hot, 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 hot. Welcome to Better Together. So this week I wanted to talk about something a little bit different, self-worth. Now, I don't know exactly how one starts to think about one's own worth. I feel like to get into that, we should get on the floor. Okay, this feels better, but get closer. Come here. Okay, too close. Back up. Okay, that feels better. Now, people's worth can be broken down into a few perceived categories. One is money, how much somebody makes, their salary, what their net worth is. And that's a really easy thing for people to do, is to see someone who is super successful and has tons of wealth and to value that person as having more worth than somebody who, say, doesn't have a lot of money in the bank or drives a nice car or any of that. So after money, the next natural thing that people often look at when trying to assess someone's worth is their talents or natural abilities. And we think of maybe professional athletes or celebrities, artists, musicians, actors, people who are revered for what they can do physically or emotionally, and they are looked up to because of that, and they're somehow valued higher. Another area where worth is derived is within relationship, and this one is really dangerous because it's easy to find a lot of your own self-worth wrapped up in one or maybe two other relationships. And that can be seen in a couple of ways. One is that you derive a lot of your worth based on how someone else needs you. All the things you do for that other person, all the ways you provide for them, all the ways that they rely on you, that gives you your self-worth, because without you, that person would fall apart or not be able to function properly. And another way is just to have your self-worth wrapped up in someone else's opinion of you. So if somebody else doesn't suddenly appreciate who you are, then your self-worth is really subject to how that person perceives you. And so all of a sudden your whole world is wrapped up in what this other person thinks. And that's a really dangerous thing too. So those are three main areas: money, talents or success, and relationship, that allow other people to derive their self-worth and then project worth on other people, and it creates this whole mess. So for me, I'm realizing that a lot of my self-worth comes from performance, how well I do in a given area. And that's really caused some confusion for me, because sometimes I'm doing really well in an area and I feel good about myself. My self-worth is really high, I feel confident, and I feel like there is nothing that can stop me. And then there's other times where I do really poorly, and that often makes me feel terrible, because now something that was giving me my worth is not giving me worth, and I don't know where else to turn to. So if my self-worth is tied to my performance, then my worth goes up and down every day based on how well I can do at something. And if I'm having a bad week, bad month, or a bad year, all of a sudden my life is fully thrown into a tailspin. And that's a really scary thing, because I don't think my self-worth really should be tied to that. Coffee time. Hot. Now, sometimes getting my self-worth from my performance makes me feel small. And I know that that's not the right way to be deriving my worth. So I want to think about things in two ways. One is that all of life has value, and we just know this to be kind of self-evident. We're always looking for life in space. We seek to preserve life wherever we can. And not only is life valuable, but human life is like the epitome of value. Now, this is really important, the word innate. Innate means that in the very essence of, or in the beginning of, or from birth, when you think about being a human from birth has an innate value or worth. Your value, your worth, is in being a human that is alive. You don't have to have any amount of success, wealth, performance, relationship. None of that is what's going to give you your worth. Your worth is in being a human being created in the image of God. So it's encouraging, because it removes from me the pressure to perform. It removes from me the pressure to find value in my worth in money or relationship or any other thing, when I recognize that just being a human that alone gives me worth, because all life has value, and having value is innate. So my worth is already established by just being a person. Now, another way of thinking about worth is to basically see what somebody's willing to pay for something. That's basically how economics works. The value of something goes up and down based on what people are willing to pay for a given item. What makes that crazy is that I recognize that my worth is tied also to what somebody was willing to pay for me. No, I don't mean money or anything like that. I'm talking about the blood of Jesus. Jesus Christ paid for my life with his. He is the most valuable person alive, and he has infinite worth. And the fact that he was willing to lay down his life for mine elevates my worth up to his. So that's my goal this week, is really just appreciating my own worth. That's a reminder that I need every day, and I'm sure that you need it as well, because it's very easy to set my own worth based on so many other things, and for that worth to be really devalued, because it has nothing to do with all the things that we talked about. It has to do with who God says I am, and who he created me to be, and the price that he paid for me to have everlasting life. And so those things are so important to who I am and to what my worth is, that everything else kind of pales in comparison. So I hope you guys are really encouraged. I am. It's something I need to be reminded of all the time. I hope you guys have a great week, and remember, you have infinite worth, and it's about progress, not perfection. So check back next week.